Hey, Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad that you could be with me here on the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or a good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. I thought that today, this is our family room. Right now, it's under destruction. Was a better choice than sitting in my car because it is a raw, cold day outside. And we all knew these days were coming. I've always tried to provide you with a background that is kind of amenable to peace, quiet, serenity, calm. But this was a real plant too. This plant is about as close as I can work up today. Over my shoulder, you can see small part of my library. This is obviously my home. I think in the future will probably be in my main library, which is in my office. But anyway, it's comfortable for me. The surroundings may not be as I would have it, but I have some things in the works that as soon as I can get it together. Oh, and I have a guest here that I'm going to try to give you a glimpse of. And if we have any chance of, I can't get him on there, Buddy, over here. This is Buddy. He is an East German Shepherd. He weighs about 90 pounds, incredibly intelligent, and you're not seeing much of him. Buddy, come over here. Over here. Over here. I'll sit. I don't know why, for some reason he knows when he's on camera. I mean, these dogs are very, very smart. Anyway, I have him here with me as well. And if we have any chance of getting any disturbance at all, as we usually do on this broadcast, it's going to be from him. So if I have to reprimand him every once in a while, you'll understand why. Anyway, we're here today. I'm telling you the truth, it's very comfortable for me. Yeah, it's way too cold outside. So, yesterday I was sharing with you at the end of the broadcast how it's not a tactic, whatever, little hack that I use for myself when I'm, going through difficult circumstances, is I pretend that I'm on the other side of my desk, where I often counsel people, talk to people, and I put myself on that other side, and then I think to myself, well, here's the problem, and how would I advise other people? And it never fails, honestly, it never failed me to help me to think this, whatever situation I'm going through, to think it through objectively. So in other words, I get myself out of the picture. I pretend that what I'm going through is somebody else's problem. And what would I tell them? And then I don't know that it's ever failed me that the advice that I give myself works out, because this is what I would tell somebody else to do. So what happens is that I go from a subjective feeling, it could be my emotions, it could be my thoughts, or both, to an objective view of my own situation. So I know a couple of you wrote to me about that, commented, and said that was, a good idea. And it is a good idea because, as I said yesterday, again, most of you will give good advice to other people, but we all have the tendency to look at our own problems differently. For example, you are much easier on others than you are on yourself. In other words, people come to you, your friends, family, whoever, and you'll say, "Oh, don't stress about that, and don't worry, and God's in charge," and that's what you're going to tell them. But when it comes to your own problem, that for some odd reason just doesn't come into play or into mind. So this is a little tactic that you can use that I think will be of a great help to you. Just think of your problem as though it's somebody else's, and how would you advise them? What kind of compassion would you have on them? What would you tell them? And I do believe that you're going to find that this is going to be very helpful for you, because what happens is that you're getting away from the subjective feelings that you have, your emotions, and you can become objective about your own problem, which is not really that easy to do for anybody unless you try this little tactic. Pretend it's somebody else. It's like, you've probably read this too, that raising children are easy. Just pretend they're somebody else's. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. My wife and I have gone through problems. We have 5 children. We've gone through problems with, well, all of them, but some were worse than others. And and it's easier, I think, without sounding sexist, I think it's easier for men to do this than women. Women are, women women are women. But I'm about to say nowadays, I don't know. Anyway, I think that men can do this a bit easier than women. But if I think of my children and their problems, which even when they're grown, they're still having issues, right? I just think of how, again, I would advise some other parents, and it becomes a very useful tactic in raising your children, because you become objective, and that's really the thought behind what I'm telling you. It's becoming objective about your symptoms. You see, Buddy, he's a very well, I don't know what I call him. Not antsy, but he's very high strung. But he's a good dog. He likes people. Doesn't like other animals. Buddy, go lay down. Yeah, down he goes. Yeah, the idea is to become objective about your own situation. And I say, well, that's not easy to do. But I think in this case, if you try the tactic that I mentioned both yesterday and now I'm just elaborating on it today, I think you're going to be able to look at yourself, look at your own symptoms much more easily. Not easy, but more easily, because you're becoming objective about it. And you're not becoming or staying subjective about your own feelings. Another thing that I'd like to mention to you is language that you use. Now, I have no clue how many of you actually use vulgarity, the words that are not polite, not used in polite society. I do know it's becoming more prevalent in our country. But that's not really what I'm not referring to the so-called curse words. I'm referring to the adjectives that you use to describe your symptoms. So this is the same subject, subjective. We ordinarily say, I don't get headaches hardly ever, but people say, I have a splitting headache. That's an adjective describing the headache. It's not just a headache, it's a splitting headache. Or I'll stay on headaches. This headache is killing me. Another adjective. What kind of a headache is it? It's a killing headache. And you get the picture. You could talk about any symptom, really, and you add adjectives. What you need to realize, and this has been proven in behavioral sciences, even neurologically speaking as well, when you start to use these adjectives, the splitting headache, this is killing me, or you go into the phrases, I don't know how much more I could put up with this, I don't know how much more I can endure. As you're speaking those words, or using those type of adjectives or phrases, you're actually creating a mental environment, climate, not merely of negativity, but of defeatism. Now keep that in mind. Defeatism. You're already conceding to your symptoms. So that means that if you're going to concede, as I've told you on many occasions, if you're going to concede to the symptoms, then you're going to lose the battle with mental health, with anxiety, with depression, simply by default. I can't endure this anymore. I don't know how much more I can go through. I mean, you go down that line. So again, it's kind of the same idea. You're so subjective about it that there's no objectivity. So a good thing to practice is when you're talking about your headache, just simply say, I have a headache. Now, I'm not going to advocate denying you have a headache or palpitations or stomach pain or sweaty palms or anything else. I'm just simply saying, just describe it to whomever you're talking without adding adjectives that are going to make for a mental climate of defeatism. The same is true, and we've been through this before also. The same is true in, you tell one person what's going on, your nervous symptoms and nervousness and anxieties and so forth. And it's very common for people with these situations, anxiety, depression, to continue to tell just about anyone who will listen. One of the things that happens is that the people closest to you, after a while, they just get tired of hearing it. And I'm here to help you, okay? And I've told you, if you downloaded, by the way, my renewed sheet off the website, you'll see there that one of the principles I put down is I must be patient with God, my family, my friends, and myself. But just putting aside ourselves for a moment, your family, you say, they don't understand me. My wife doesn't get me. My nobody gets it. And I would say that, yes, I know that's true, because the intensity and duration of your symptoms lasts longer than the average person. What you're going through is average, by the way. It's just that the intensity is not average and the duration is not average. But after a while, the constant complaining wears people out. And they've told you, right? They've told you, I don't want to hear about this no more. You're always talking about this. Well, for me, and that was one of the principles on my sheet, renewed. Again, you can download that from the website. It's not helpful to you to keep telling everybody, especially those closest to you, and wearing them out with the same story, even though it's true. It's not helpful to them, of course, in wanting to be sympathetic or empathetic to you, but at the same time, you're doing damage to your own cause and to your own condition. The constant talking, which is, almost classic of people who have nervous symptoms, anxiety, I should say. The constant talking, trying to release the tension that's in the body, wears people out. Wears people out. We all have people in our circles who, I don't know, as a pastor, again, 45 years, I've met a lot of people. And some just don't know when to stop. They don't even pick up on the hint like, well, I think I better, go see my family now. And they just keep talking. Talk right over the top of you. Yeah, I think, okay, well, that's good. They just don't even hear you. They're so interested. Listen to me now. They're so interested in their own concerns. They're not concerned about other people. And I want to say this as compassionately as I can. And I did a broadcast on this whole thing. think about other people too. You say, Pastor, I'm the one that's suffering. My husband, wife, my children, my mother, my father, they don't go through this. And I agree. I know. But you need to understand that what happened to you is not their fault either. Either way, what I want to bring across to you is to get out of the subjectivity of your issues, your symptoms, and become more objective by applying the tactic that I use myself, pretending I'm somebody else. How would I advise them? The advice that always comes to me, and it's always been good, and I think it will be for you. And the second thing for today is watch your language. Don't be adding so many adjectives to your cause. Because once you do, you're creating an environment or climate in your mind of defeatism. And if that starts to prevail, your situation is definitely going to get worse. So we want to stay, I'll use the word positive. We're in faith. We want to believe in faith. Jesus said, whatsoever things you ask for, believing, you will receive. Let's believe for good health. Let me pray for you today. Father, I bless you today and praise you for my friends. I actually thank you for that this group is small and not very large, that we can keep in touch with each other in contact. Either way, help my friends today to take these lessons to heart and practice them, and help them to continue to make good progress in their struggle against nervous symptoms. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Alrighty. I'll get my act together as to where I'm going to be. I'll tell you the truth. The house is empty today, by the way. That's why I'm here. My wife is watching my daughter's children. We have 13 grandchildren, and so she's watching them. So she's not here. And my son is working. He's doing his. I got two sons here. They're both working, and it's just me and Buddy. And Buddy's been pretty good, right? He hasn't been so much of a bother. Buddy. I thought maybe I could help him to say goodbye to you, but he's probably going to mess things up. Right now, I think he's chasing his toy downstairs somewhere. Buddy, come on. Either way, I'm glad that we have this channel here to a small group. And I would like to, as always, invite you to join if you want to subscribe and be part of this group. I do believe that it'll be a big help to you. And just subscribe, hit the notification button. I thank all of you who are writing to me saying you're sharing these broadcasts, because so many people, and in the years to come, this year, next year, believe me, we're going to have more and more people that are going to need the help that is offered on this broadcast and from my pulpit, as well as those who are truly preaching the gospel. I wanted to get Buddy to say goodbye to you. Hey, Buddy, come here. Go over here. Come on. Come on up here. Did you say goodbye to these people? Huh? Come over here. Okay. Hey, take your toy right there. Right there. Take your toy. But you're off the camera. Come over here. Get up here. This is Buddy. He's not cooperating. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just say goodbye to the people. You're not a lap dog. This is not working out. All right, so much for that. Knocked off my windscreen. All right. Lord willing, I'll be with you here again tomorrow on the Oasis. And as always, I remind you, make sure the peace of Christ dwells in your heart. Lord willing, I'll be with you here again tomorrow on the Oasis. God bless.